Ladies and gentlemen, it has now been 10 years ever since we thought Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III were the future of the NFL. So we're going to talk about what went wrong with their careers and what has happened in the past 10 years with them. Now let's start off with Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck's first season with Stanford was very uneventful, but still at the same time a good sign for things to come, as he would throw 13 touchdowns with 4 interceptions, and that was just in 12 games. And Andrew Luck would lead Stanford to an 8-5 record and an appearance in the Sun Bowl, but they would lose to Oklahoma. The next season though, Andrew Luck would have a breakout year, throwing 32 touchdowns with 8 interceptions, and would lead Stanford to a 12-1 record, and Stanford would win the Orange Bowl against Virginia Tech. And Andrew Luck looked like one of the best prospects we have ever seen in college football. Now, another quarterback that had a huge 2010 season was Baylor redshirt sophomore Robert Griffin III, who was coming off a year where he barely played in his actual sophomore season. And he would throw 22 touchdowns with 8 interceptions and would lead Baylor to a 7-6 record, but they would lose to Illinois in the Texas Bowl. The 2011 Heisman race was set to be an absolute dogfight between Robert Griffin III and Andrew Luck, and this was exactly what we got. Robert Griffin III would throw 37 touchdowns with 6 interceptions and would lead Baylor to a 10-3 record, and they would win the Alamo Bowl with a staggering score of 67-56, defeating Washington. Andrew Luck, on the other hand, had another amazing season, as he would throw 37 touchdowns with 10 interceptions and would lead Stanford to an 11-2 record, but they would lose in heartbreaking fashion to Oklahoma State in the Fiesta Bowl. Now, the debate of who was better, Andrew Luck, Robert Griffin III, was a huge debate. But the big question was, who was going to win the Heisman? That question was answered when they gave it to Robert Griffin III, which was seen kind of as a 50-50 decision, but at the same time, Andrew Luck was seen as the better prospect. And the real prize was who was going to be the first pick in the 2012 NFL Draft, Andrew Luck or Robert Griffin III. The 2011 season was seen as the suck for luck season in the NFL, as a lot of the bottom feeders were tanking to get Andrew Luck, who was seen as the best prospect since John Elway. And the Indianapolis Colts were heavily involved in this, as they did not have Peyton Manning, so it was kind of a lost season, and Peyton Manning was on his way out of Indianapolis. So they were thinking to bring in the next big thing in Andrew Luck. They would finish 2-14, but another team was also competing for Andrew Luck, and that was the St. Louis Rams, who had just drafted Sam Bradford with the first pick in 2010. But Sam Bradford did not pan out, and they needed a new franchise quarterback. They also finished 2-14, but the Indianapolis Colts had the tiebreaker, so the Colts had the first pick in the 2012 draft. 2 big moves would happen in March of 2012. One of those big moves was the Indianapolis Colts cutting Peyton Manning after 14 seasons, and after Peyton Manning showed that he was the greatest player in franchise history. He would then sign with the Denver Broncos, and you all know that story. The St. Louis Rams, on the other hand, would trade out of the number 2 pick, and they would trade that pick to the Washington Redskins, and the Redskins would now be picking 2nd overall. Then the time came for the Indianapolis Colts to make their decision, and their decision came down to Andrew Luck or Robert Griffin III.
With the first pick in the 2012 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Andrew Luck, quarterback, Stanford.
The Colts would select Andrew Luck with the first pick, and this was seen as the right choice at the time. And Andrew Luck actually had a pretty decent team to work with, as they still had Reggie Wayne at wide receiver, and in the 3rd round of the 2012 draft, the Colts would select T.Y. Hilton. So Andrew Luck had some weapons to work with, and on the defensive side, the Colts still had legends such as Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney.
With the second pick in the 2012 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Robert Griffin III, quarterback, Baylor.
The Washington Redskins, of course, picked Robert Griffin III, and Robert Griffin III, his best receiver was Pierre Garçon, which really wasn't the best. He was still pretty solid, but he was no Reggie Wayne or T.Y. Hilton. But on the defensive side, they still had D'Angelo Hall and Ryan Kerrigan. And at left tackle, though, Trent Williams would be protecting Robert Griffin III. The Colts and the Redskins both had very shocking seasons. They were actually both pretty good because Andrew Luck would lead the Colts to an 11-5 record, and Andrew Luck would actually set the rookie record for most passing yards in a season by a rookie at the time. And Andrew Luck would also throw 23 touchdowns along with 18 interceptions. But the Colts would lose in the first round to the eventual Super Bowl champion Ravens. The Washington Redskins would also have a good season as they would finish 10-6 as Robert Griffin III would throw 20 touchdowns along with 5 interceptions. And Robert Griffin III really was seen as one of the most fun players to watch in the league. But the Redskins would face off against the Seattle Seahawks in the wild card round, and the Seahawks were led by another rookie quarterback, Russell Wilson. But tragedy would strike. Robert Griffin III would tear his ACL and his meniscus. And tearing your ACL is one thing, but also tearing your meniscus can be devastating for a career, and the Seahawks would go on to win that game. After missing 3 games of the 2013 season, Robert Griffin III returned, and he did not look the same as he used to, as he would throw 16 touchdowns compared to 13 interceptions, and the Redskins would only win 3 games. Meanwhile, Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts were having an amazing season as Andrew Luck would win his first division title of his career, and the Colts would go on to win 11 games yet again, and Andrew Luck would throw 23 touchdowns compared to 9 interceptions. And then Andrew Luck had his first at-home playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Colts would be down 31-10 at halftime, and it looked like their season was over. But then Andrew Luck did the unthinkable.
His 2 straight interceptions. Luck is 6 for 7, 7 for 8. Donald Brown trying to get in. Touchdown, Colts. To the end zone, touchdown to Kobe Fleener. Touchdowns for Brown. And they give it to him again. On the goal, he fumbles the ball, and Luck is there to pick it up and go over the goal line. 36 with a fresh set of downs. Steps up. Long look, and he's got Hilton for the touchdown.
He would lead a comeback that was considered and still is considered one of the greatest in NFL history, and the Colts would win that game 45-44. And although they did lose to New England in the divisional round, the future looked bright in Indy. The next season, Robert Griffin III would only play in 9 games until he was benched for another 2012 quarterback, Kirk Cousins. And the next season, Robert Griffin III would be benched yet again for Kirk Cousins going into the regular season. And this showed that Washington did not want Robert Griffin III anymore. Andrew Luck, on the other hand, had the best season of his career, throwing 40 touchdowns, which led the NFL, and he would also throw 16 interceptions and lead the Colts to an 11-5 record, and the Colts would go to the AFC Championship where they would get killed by the New England Patriots. But at the same time, New England had that whole thing that you remember, Deflategate, going on where they deflated the footballs. In my honest opinion, I really don't think New England would have lost that game if they didn't deflate the footballs. I think New England was going to win that game no matter what. But still, it was a controversial game, and many people thought the Colts should have been in the Super Bowl that year. I personally, as a Colts fan, did not think that. but you can believe whoever you wanted to believe. In 2015, while Robert Griffin III was sitting on the bench for Washington, the Indianapolis Colts made some big moves to get Andrew Luck some help. While Reggie Wayne would go sign with New England and then quickly retire afterwards, the Colts would bring in 2 future Hall of Famers in Frank Gore to play running back and Andre Johnson at wide receiver. And these looked like moves that can put the Colts over the hump, but it didn't, as Andrew Luck would only play in 7 games, as he would suffer a lacerated kidney that would leave him peeing blood. Now, the issue that I did not bring up earlier in this video is that Andrew Luck was by far the most hit and most sacked quarterback in the NFL, and GM Ryan Grigson refused to give Andrew Luck any protection. In March of 2016, Washington would cut Robert Griffin III, and Robert Griffin III would then sign with the Cleveland Browns. And as you all know, the 2016 Browns were historically awful, as they would finish 1-15, but Robert Griffin III would only play in 5 of those games. Andrew Luck, on the other hand, would come back in 2016 and have a pretty good season, throwing 31 touchdowns along with 13 interceptions. But the Colts were not that good, and they would go 8-8 as the future was starting to look pretty grim in Indy. Robert Griffin III would remain unsigned in 2017. But meanwhile, Andrew Luck was developing some major shoulder issues, and ownership tried to cover it up and said these issues were very small, which was not the truth at all. They even said he was going to play week 1 in the 2017 season, which he didn't, and Andrew Luck would miss the entire 2017 season as his shoulder became a major concern, and he would eventually get surgery. The Baltimore Ravens would sign Robert Griffin III in 2018 to back up Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson, and Robert Griffin III in his 3 seasons with Baltimore would only start in 2 games, and 2020 was the last time we ever saw Robert Griffin III on a football field. And he is still trying to make an NFL comeback, but it's looking like his career is over. He is currently an ESPN college football analyst, but we do not know what the future looks like for Robert Griffin III. So his story is still going on, but I doubt he makes an NFL comeback. And it's pretty sad to see a player of his caliber go from one of the most exciting players to watch in the league to suddenly out of the league. You could say he was a one-year wonder, but injuries obviously played a huge role in his decline. In 2018, Andrew Luck made his return, and things did not start well, as the Colts would start 1-5. But things would quickly turn around as they would finish 10-6, as Andrew Luck finally got a good O-line, and Andrew Luck would finish with 39 touchdowns along with 15 interceptions, and would lead the Colts to a playoff win against the Texans, but they would be blown out by the Chiefs in the divisional round. But Andrew Luck would win the Comeback Player of the Year, and the future looked bright in Indy yet again under new head coach Frank Reich and new GM Chris Ballard. That offseason, Andrew Luck had a small bone issue, as ownership described it, when in reality, Andrew Luck needed surgery on his left calf to heal a broken bone. But Andrew Luck vowed to himself during the 2017 shoulder rehab that he would never go through this process again. And he was right.
Hello. This certainly isn't how I envisioned this or planned this. But I am going to retire. This is not an easy decision. Honestly, it's the hardest decision of my life.
During week 3 of a preseason game in 2019, Adam Schefter dropped a bombshell that Andrew Luck would be retiring because he was sick of the injury and rehab process. Luck would be 30 years old when he retired, and this news would shock the NFL world and Colts fans, as Colts fans would boo Luck off the field and Luck's final time at Lucas Oil Stadium, which was very unwarranted and disrespectful. Luck confirmed that he was sick of the injury and rehab process, and with a new baby girl on the way, Andrew Luck needed to do what was right for his family, and he hung up the cleats. And this move was obviously very emotional for Luck, but the Colts had to move on, and they moved on with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, and that did not work very well. As the Colts have cycled through quarterbacks throughout the past few years, Luck has enjoyed retirement, and in 2022, during the College Football National Championship at Lucas Oil Stadium, Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III would reunite as they would talk about college football during the pregame show. And this was a cool moment, in my opinion, and this is going to end the video, as this was the shocking downfall of two of the biggest rising stars of the 2010s in Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III, as injuries ruined both of their careers and had them retiring early. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.